Chef Earl's demo videos. Today, guys, we're gonna make red beans and rice. This is an easy but flavorful dish that I've actually got the recipe from Miss Holstein. So I've added a tablespoon of bacon grease to my slow cooker, and I'm adding a cup of onions, diced onions. I'm going to allow them to cook off for 2 or 3 minutes, and then I'm going to add diced peppers. I'm actually using sweet diced peppers. If you wanted to kick it up a notch, you could use diced jalapenos. But I do like the flavor and the color it brings to a dish. So I do add those in. It's optional in most recipes, but I do like the look it brings and flavor it brings to our dish. Now, we are going to use more of a layered technique in this dish. We're going to saute our vegetables off and then add our meat and then add the beans and the bean juice along with the rice and then cook it off. This will help make sure that our texture of our rice stays intact and that we don't get a ball of mush. So I'm just going to allow this to cook off for 5 minutes to ensure that my vegetables are tender, that my onions are translucent or clear, and my peppers are tender to the fork. I'm leaving a wooden spoon in there. If it was metal, it could get hot, so be cautious. I'm adding 1 tablespoon of Cajun seasoning. This is just a generic mix. There are all kinds of mixes. I love Slap Your Mama seasoning, or Tony's Creole seasoning, or Magic Creole seasoning. There's all types. There's stores dedicated to Cajun seasoning down in New Orleans. I'm also adding 2 pinches of salt right there. Making sure all of my seasoning gets on the onions and the peppers. Once I add my liquid to the dish, it'll bring all my flavors together and all my spices and yumminess. It will marry all the flavors together. Now I'm adding slices of andouille sausage. These are 2 links, 1 pound. If you could add a little more if you wanted it to be more heavy on the sausage. But I felt that 2 links does make a nice ratio of sausage to beans and rice. Now, could this be left out for a vegetarian option, vegan option? Absolutely. Or there is now andouille vegetable protein sausage that I've seen out, which I think is wonderful. And meat substitutes sometimes are even better than the real thing. I'm going to allow this to cook for 5 minutes and allow the sausage to become crisp on either side. Render off some of that fat as well from the sausage. Cooking this all on a medium heat. Don't want to go too hot and burn the sausage or the vegetables. So I'm just leaving it on around of level 5, medium heat. This is a great dish. It can be a main course or a side dish, but For a family serving of 4, you can make this for under $5. So it does make a very cheap but hearty meal. I love making it in the winter because it's one of those meals that sticks to your ribs. We all know during the cold winter months, we need those stick to your rib kind of meals. This also makes a lot for a little, like I said, under $5, which is nice for leftovers. If you're just feeding yourself, you could make a couple meals out of this. Just breaking it up, making sure each of the sausage gets a little time on the surface. I'm using a ceramic slow cooker. You could use a saute pan to make this with a top, or a cast iron with a top. Either thing would work great. If you just had a cast iron skillet, I would just suggest putting aluminum foil over top when we need to boil the water and rice. Now I'm adding a can of drained kidney beans, red kidney beans, but I didn't drain it into the sink. I've actually kept the bean liquid in a measuring cup, and I'm making sure that I drained all of the bean liquid, and then I'm making sure that I add enough water to make 3/4 cup. If it's all bean juice, wonderful. If it doesn't, and only gives you a half a cup of bean juice, then add the rest of water. Bean juice is actually a wonderful thickener for dishes or soups, just like okra is something natural thickener to sauces and soups. Just stirring everything around to incorporate all of my items. I'm adding a cup or a hearty cup of rice to this dish. I'm actually adding dry rice. I'm just going to mix it around. And then I'm going to add my bean juice and water mixture. And trust me, I know it sounds gross or maybe a little weird, but it makes the dish. The bean juice has a lot of flavor and is a wonderful thickener. And then I'm just adding a little water to water it down to make a full 3/4 cup. So you're going to render all of the bean juice and then add enough water to make 3/4 cup. I'm going to mix it all together. Make sure all the rice is evenly distributed. Now this is where you could add a little water to be sure that your liquid is a little bit above the rice. Or if you had any extra bean juice, You could add it here too, mix a little water together and just go over top. I just want to be sure that I have enough liquid over my rice. I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of Cajun seasoning and another 1 tablespoon of Mexican chili powder. And then I'm going to mix it up. So for my recipe, I will be adding 2 tablespoons of each spice, just at different times. So if you are not, you could add it later if you're not into spices too much. You don't want to overspice your dish. You could add your second tablespoons of each spice after tasting it, after it cooks. I am going to add 2 bay leaves to this dish. The flavor it brings, these are an unedible herb, so you will need to take them out after cooking. Just making sure my liquid is over my rice. I'm going to top it and let it cook on simmer for 20 minutes. All right. Demo magic. It is done in a snap of a finger. All right, you can tell that the liquid has been absorbed into the rice. I'm now going to add it to my bowl and try it. Ooh, that looks good. Yum. Look at that, red beans and rice.